What's going on, DJ Tech Tools? P-Dot here, and in this video I'm going to give you a walkthrough of all the features in a Serato sampler. Find out more coming out. So the Serato sampler, formerly called the SP6, holds a lot of functionality. Now most DJs just use it to launch sound effects or DJ drops, but if you take a look at all the features that each sample slot has, you can actually add a lot to your DJ performance. So let's go ahead and open the sampler. To do that, you're going to go up to the top left, click on the sampler button, and then the Serato sampler panel will open up right here in the middle. Now let's take a look at this from top to bottom. Right here you have your 4 banks A, B, C, and D, and each bank consists of 8 slots. So previously on Serato Scratch Live and the earlier versions of Serato DJ, the SP6 only had 6 slots, hence the name. But with all of the new Serato DJ controllers coming out, most of them having 8 pads, for cue points and loops, it made sense to move to 8 slots on the sampler so your hardware would mimic what's seen in the software. So to the right of your banks, you have your output selector. So currently I have an SL4 plugged in, which has 4 channel outputs, an auxiliary channel, and you also get the master as an output source for the Serato sampler. So for instance, if you had a Pioneer S9, you would have outputs 1 and 2, the auxiliary, and then the master. Since the S9 only has 2 channel outputs, these 3 and 4 channels would not appear. To the right of that, we have the volume. This is the overall master volume for the Serato sampler. So whatever you have playing, this is an overall volume, so you could lower this and raise this as need be. So the volume control for the sampler on the mixer mimics the volume knob here on the actual software as well. Now to the right of that, we have a mute button. So say you accidentally hit a sample keyboard shortcut. If you hit the mute button, it'll mute all the slots that are shown on the Serato sampler. You can just wait for the sample to finish and then go ahead and unmute it and you're good to go. Now let's take a look at each slot. So here at the top of the slot, we have the actual file name of the piece of audio that you have loaded to the slot. It also acts as a play button. So if I go ahead and hit that, it'll go ahead and play the sample. To the right of that, we have the pitch, which mimics the pitch fader you see here in the track deck. So you can raise and lower this. Then to the right of that, we have the volume knob. So this is the channel volume per slot. So you actually have individual volume control of each slot. Below that, we have the waveform. And notice that it has cue point markers. So if you have, say, a sample that has, or a piece of audio that has multiple cue points, you can actually pick where you'd like the sample slot to start from. Below that, we have the repeat, which is basically like a loop. So whatever you have loaded to the sample slot, if you have this enabled, it'll go ahead and just keep repeating what's playing out of the sample slot. Here you have your play modes. You have your normal play mode, which is currently selected. This is the hold mode, so you're actually going to have to hold down the sample slot button for the whole sample to play out. So for instance, it only plays as long as I have the button held down. Next is the start-stop mode, where you actually press the button one time to start the sample, then you have to press it a second time to stop the sample. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and press the button to start it, then I'm going to stop it. Start, stop. Normally I usually use the normal playthrough mode. It just works for me. But I mean, it's nice to have options and you can figure out what works for you. I know a lot of people that use the hold function as well, just to get a little bit more control. But to each his own, and it's just good to have the options of picking how you want it to be played out. To the right of that, we have the sync button. And then to the right of that, we have the cog, which opens up even more options. So let's take a look at these as well. So on top of having a volume fader like this, you also have a gain, just like you do on the channel on a track deck. So you have a lot of volume and gain control, not only for your sample slots, so you have 2 stages right here, then you have the master volume that I showed previously. To the right of that, we have the sample slot mute, which just goes ahead and mutes whatever sample slot's playing. So if you have the full options open like this, you can easily click on the mute button right here. Or say you have multiple samples playing, but you hit one that's wrong, you can open up this panel and just mute that one sample slot. To the right of that, we have the key lock, and this is the same key lock you get on the track decks as well. So you do get almost, it mimics a track deck with how much control you get in each sample slot. Then you have your pitch down and pitch up buttons, which mimics the same pitch up and down that you get in the track deck when it's in internal mode. And right below that, you have your eject button, just like a track deck. You can go ahead and eject the sample if you have the wrong one loaded or you just want it blank. Then you also have right here is where you select where you'd like the sample slot to start from. Currently, I only have one cue point assigned to this piece of audio, so I only get the option to select cue point 1, and that's where I like it to start, or I can have it start from the very beginning of the piece of audio. One new feature that they added with the Serato sampler over the SP6 is the ability to actually have a minimized view for the Serato sampler. If you notice, this actually takes up a decent amount of real estate on the screen, but this new mode is enabled by just clicking on this right here. So if we go ahead and click on that, notice it dramatically lowers the amount of screen real estate that the sampler uses. This is really handy for people that like having the effects panel open. So for instance, if I had this in regular sampler view mode and then had the effects open, you can see how much real estate this takes up, and it takes away from being able to see your library. But now with the minimized view, it barely adds any bulk to the middle panels that are open. So you still get to see what samples you have loaded. You get to select what bank you want. You get your overall volume control, and your mute button as well. So a lot of control, as well as the ability to see what's loaded without taking up a lot of screen real estate. I love this view. It's usually how I have the sampler open because I do have the effects panel open a lot of the times. So being able to not have to take up all that real estate saves me a lot of time, because usually in the past I would just have the whole sampler panel hidden. So sometimes I might have it on the wrong bank and I wouldn't know exactly where I was. And I might hit the wrong sample and I'd have to rush and open it and then hit mute, and just, a lot more to think about, when now you can just have it minimized and you can see it without having to worry about all that screen real estate that it took previously. Another new feature with the launch of Serato DJ 1.9.6 is now that even DVS has Smart Sync, and the sync will follow the master deck as well. So for instance, in Bank B, I have this drum loop that I've chopped out, and it's at 91 BPM. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a play. All my hip hop heads should know what drum loop this is. I'm going to go ahead and click on the repeat function right here. I'm going to load up a song. Select the track deck as master. Going to go ahead and enable sync on the actual sample slot. Then I'm going to go ahead and play the track deck and then start the sample right underneath it and watch what happens with the BPM. Notice the BPM matches the BPM of the track deck, but now with the follow function, the BPM of the sample slot will sync and follow perfectly with whatever track deck is enabled as the master clock. So the possibilities open up tremendously with this new added functionality. So you can think of it a lot like the remix decks in Tractor, where the sample slots will now follow whatever's playing in the track deck. So you can have, a sample slot for your drums, and then your percussion, your bass lines, your synth leads, all playing at once and all synced to whatever is playing in the actual track decks. And unlike the remix decks, or one remix deck in Tractor, you can actually have 8 samples playing at the exact same time. So what would take you 2 remix decks in Tractor, you can play all at once. So 8 different samples or loops playing all at once, all in sync, and that will all follow the BPM of whatever deck is assigned as master. This opens up a lot of possibilities for Serato DJs that we did not have in the past.
So that's a look at the Serato sampler. There's a lot of functions and features in there that many Serato DJ users are not even aware of. Try adding it to your performance, it could add another layer. And if you're looking for more tips, techniques, and news, be sure to check out DJ Tech Tools, or check me out at youtube.com/djp.tv. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.